Every successful business evolves. And to keep up, you need a bank relationship that evolves too. When you collaborate with KeyBank, you don't get one-size-fits-all solutions. Our expansive team of experts across industry verticals wouldn't be here if you did. Always ready with bespoke solutions for your biggest challenges and opportunities. We know all businesses are different, and that's why we approach business differently. Reimagine business as usual. KeyBank opens doors. Learn more at key.com/B2B.
We all love a legendary comeback, and Degree Original Cool Rush is back and better than ever. Cool Rush isn't just a scent, it's a movement, a fan favorite that delivers bold, fresh vibes and all-day sweat protection. Whether you have a man that spends hours in the gym, heads into the office early, or is just trying to stay fresh on a long day, Cool Rush has their back. Head to your local Walmart or Target and grab Degree Cool Rush, the fan favorite scent from the world's #1 antiperspirant brand.
Hello, my name is Damon Friedman, co-founder and president of SOF Missions. As a 20-year veteran within Special Operations, I've gone through many challenges due to my military service and time in combat. We felt called to start SOF Missions to serve our fellow brothers and sisters in arms, focusing on suicide prevention and resiliency. Our mission at SOF Missions is to empower warriors to find purpose and be resilient. Since 2011, when we started the organization, almost 3 million men and women have deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan. Unfortunately, the scars of war take a toll on their psychological, physical, social, and spiritual health. Many veterans feel a sense of hopelessness and a loss of purpose when they return to civilian life. They feel isolated and alone, unable to reconnect. And in the greatest of tragedies, over 20 veterans lose all hope and take their own lives. Our goal at SOF Missions is to provide veterans the tools and resources so that they don't become a statistic. We offer a unique approach to combating veteran suicide through a whole health, intradisciplinary model. The Be Resilient program is a 4-pillar methodology that addresses the areas of psychological, physical, social, and spiritual wellness. We provide care through 3 delivery methods: medical clinics, retreats, and educational training. Since we started back in 2011, we have been able to reach veterans in all 50 states and have served over 3,000 veterans through the Be Resilient program. Being resilient is a multifaceted and complex issue. We know that to find a lasting solution, we have to address the whole warrior. Many challenges cannot be solved by providing the treatments and modalities of just one component, but by tackling them all. Now, we've expanded our services to include law enforcement and first responders. Together, we can make a lasting impact in the lives of warriors across the nation. To learn more, visit our website at sofmissions.org.
All right. Welcome back.
Misfit Nation. Misfit Nation. The Misfit Nation Show.
We are a show founded by a veteran and hosted by 2 veterans and a military spouse. Our mission is to get people to tell their stories to the world. If you're an author, share your tips with the Misfit Nation. If you're a musician or an actor, our audience needs to know how they too can get into the business. Coaches, we love our coaches. Come on and share your tips with the Misfit Nation to help them become better versions of themselves. If you are a corporate leader or an entrepreneur, come on and show how you did it and how hard you have fought for success. If you are a veteran, first responder, or Gold Star family, we would love to have you come on and share your story with the Misfit Nation. We always have time for you. If you're feeling down, alone, or starting to see the darkness, stop. Think about those who are around you. You are not alone. You will be missed. If you feel like your problems will be a burden to those in your inner circle or feel embarrassed, dial 988. If you are a veteran, take option 1. We need you to keep pushing forward. Don't make a permanent solution to a temporary problem. If you are a new listener, welcome to the Misfit Nation Show. Be sure to subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast app. Also on our YouTube channel at @_Misfit Nation. subscribe and click the bell to keep you up to date on our latest episodes and all of our news. You can also find us on Heroes Media Group and About Face Radio. Now, let's get to the show!
All right. Welcome back to the MisFitNation show in your Sunday after dinner edition. We had a great week last week of shows, and this week shows to be a lot better, a lot more energy, a lot more drive, a lot of better stories for you, the MisFitNation. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thanks for coming for the ride. Thanks for collecting those freaking flyer MisFitNation miles. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the stream here. Help us grow, help us to share stories of amazing people like our guest tonight with the rest of the world. Tonight we have no bad news. The only bad news is the Giants gave up 33 points in the fourth quarter and lost the game today. 33 points in the fourth quarter. Way to go, Giants. Way to keep the streak alive of being a bad team. But tonight we have a great guest. He's a United States Air Force veteran, an avid bodybuilder, a poet, and he strives to bring back epic. Well, that's awesome right there. Bring back epic. So let's bring in Peter Gunn. Welcome, Peter.
Thanks for having me on, Rich. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's awesome to have you here, especially a fellow veteran who's doing great things in the world right now. I just gave basically a elevator speech introduction about you, Peter. Tell the MisFitNation a little bit more about you, from as far back as you want to go to how we got here.
Wow. Okay. Well, I mean, in more recent things, in the past year, I've formed a band. We're called the Angellics, and we just put out our first album. It's called Hazing Hades. It's on all the platforms. This week, we are going to launch our first single, which is called The Martyr, and it's going to be a tribute to the late Charlie Kirk, and all the money that raises is going to go fund Charlie Kirk's causes. And we just got word, in fact, just a couple of hours ago from our audio engineer that we've been working with, that we're going to be able to now tune all of our music to the 963 hertz frequency, which is what I originally intended from the get-go when I started down this path with the album and the band. So I'm really happy about that.
Awesome. I'm sharing the picture that you sent me just right before the showtime.
Okay. Yeah.
You're doing that for Charlie Kirk and his memory.
Yes. Yeah.
I appreciate you doing that for him and his family.
So someone has to do something. I know there's a couple of artists that did a little bit and raised some money, but more has to be done, I really feel. I mean, especially investigating into his so to say, passing. There's a lot of questions people have about it.
I know Candace Owens is really digging deep into that. She's like a bulldog right now, just watching.
Oh yeah. Well, we were discussing, okay, where's the money going to go? And probably the best place would be to start a Patreon for Candace and to donate it to Candace. Really.
Right. I mean, she is on fire right now with her efforts to get the truth out there to the world of what really happened, and that might lead to a lot of dominoes falling that people don't want to see fall.
Well, I think it's insulting when people treat you like you're stupid, like you're being talked down to, and that's what they're doing to America when they tell us that he was killed with a 30-06.
And especially for those of us who have been around weaponry and know a thing or two about it or two.
Which is most of us veterans, yeah.
It doesn't pass the common sense question for a lot of things. And from the angle at which he was and how he had to get up there and get down, it just doesn't make a lot of sense.
No, but
back to you.
No, I mean it's been the past year has just been ridiculous with the band, my artist with my graphic novel that I'm working on, and then of course the audiobook I'm redoing. So it's just been a roller coaster for the past year. For me, it's been like one of the busiest years of my life. I have 12 people on staff right now that I have hired that are working for me that are nonstop trying to push all these projects out. So I'm like that old vaudeville act, with a guy that's spinning plates all the time. I'm constantly trying to keep the plates spinning, as the head of this fiasco.
It's always fun to be the one that's trying to control it. I'll be that puppet master kind of thing and make things
Yeah.
place at the right time. And just looking at your website, you do have a lot of things going on. You have the Amazon, you have your books, you have your band together, you're coming out with modern, and you're doing your guesting stuff just to try to get your name out there and maybe get people to dive into you a little more. Where do you see this all as you do the Puppet Master, as you get everything going? Where do you see it going down the road here?
To enlighten humanity, to change minds and hearts, okay, to wake people up, whether it's slowly or abruptly. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, reach one, teach one is what we like to say here to Misfit Nation. So even if tonight, if our show is live and we have X amount of viewers, and then it goes into the other sphere of audio, and we get thousands of downloads. If one person gets something out of mine and yours conversation tonight, we've succeeded tonight because we changed someone's opinion or maybe help them to have a better day.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can't put a value on one soul. Right. It's priceless.
And I think that's something we started when we really started the show, was reach one, teach one, and it just has snowballed, and it's gone a little crazy at times, but it's a fun ride doing this and meeting so many amazing people like yourself who's doing amazing things. And this leads me to my first question. What led you to actually get into writing and, of course, write the Amazons?
Well, in 2010, where I was still serving, I was at E6 at the time. I had my first child, my daughter. I wanted to, of course, any parent wants to enroll their children into things that they love to do, So I loved the old poetry, like the Odyssey, Dr. Inferno, Beowulf, And I remember, going to the base library, looking at everything, and then I went to the local bookstore, and then I slowly realized, why would a young girl want to pick up these books and read them? What's in it for her? Unless it's, forcibly assigned to her in school to read it, why would she want to read it? Where's the feminine being, represented here? It's almost like non-existent. It's like saying, in a way, to our mothers, our daughters, our sisters, you're not worthy of the hero's journey. So I decided to do something about it. That's why I started brainstorming a way to not only bring back epic poetry from the past, but present it to a way that Gen Z, Gen Alpha will then understand. So I had to invent my own form of poetry, really.
I know when we were growing up, we had like Xena, Warrior Princess, and I think She-Ra, something like that. But there was so few and far between female, I guess, heroes in movies or heroes in stories, that what you're saying just comes to light. As I had a daughter too, and trying to do the things that she wanted to do, but not having any idea how to do them as we were coming through.
Mm-hmm.
How did this connect your bond with your daughter as you started this journey?
Well, I asked her a lot as I was writing it, what do you want to see, and what appeals to you in this whole novel? I knew that, number one, I need to bring in the feminine, but I wanted someone, and she brought this out too, someone like Superman. So someone that's as powerful as Superman, that could take him on, in your imagination. Okay, but someone that's also is human, has humanity inside of them, so has a heart. And that's one of the things I considered when I developed the character of Lynn, which is, the main protagonist in the story, or one of them. I should say it's goes 50-50 between her brother, Jack, one of the main characters, and Lynn, the other main character. It's a 50-50 split between male and female. And I wanted to do that to show that the masculine can't stand by itself, the feminine can't stand by itself. There has to be a 50-50 split, a synergy happening in order for them to be truly powerful.
Definitely does. And I had an author on, I think, a couple months ago, and every story he writes is from the female perspective. Every book he writes, and people didn't realize that at first because he uses a different pen name, that he writes from a feminine perspective, until he started doing interviews when he said he writes from that perspective to maybe give a better view of what women should be seen as in the world, as leaders, as role models for young girls and young boys and girls as they grow through life. And as he wrote his novels, it made him feel so much better about the women in his life and putting some of them in his books as well.
Oh yeah. And my daughter's really coming along with her art. So hopefully, someday she could start doing art for my graphic novels.
Make it the family business. That's good right there.
Yeah.
You're right there. You're reaching one and teaching one, and then you can step back and just watch her on her journey, and then you can work for her later in life, maybe the editor.
Definitely.
So tell us a little bit about your Air Force journey. Why did you choose the Air Force One, and what did you do in the Air Force? And you did it for 20 years, so you had to like it a little bit, I guess.
Well, I took a more, sort of say, cautionary approach to it. I went to the local VFW. I'm from, originally born and raised in Wisconsin, so I went to the local VFW, and I point blank asked the guys if they had to do it all over again, what service would you have gone in? And everyone said the Air Force. The Marines said the Air Force. The Navy said the Air Force. The Army said the Air Force. So I mean that made it enough cause for me to go in. Really, and I they knew what they were talking about as far as I was concerned. Because I asked them if they had to do it all over again. Like the guy I was talking to from the Army, his knees were shot, but he knew that his knees wouldn't have been that bad if he had joined the Air Force. Maybe got a cushier job. Yeah, so it's just things like that. So that's why I decided to go in the Air Force, and I was also very cautionary about it. Like, okay, active duty or guard or reserve. I looked at that, and I decided to initially go into the guard, the local guard there, and of course, you wait a while for boot camp slots. So I decided to start working. I was avionics on KC 135 hours initially, and then when I finally went into boot camp, it was like a light bulb went off in my head. Like, oh my gosh, I love this. It's like a vacation for me. Oh, I'd go back. It was fun. I'm like, what? It was so easy. Especially, I had gotten into bodybuilding as a youth, so I was already in shape, and it was like water up a frog's ass. It was no problem for me. So when I came back to my guard unit, I like, hey, I think I want to go active duty, and they all look at me like I was crazy. Like, are you serious? But I decided to go active duty after that, and I didn't look back. Yeah,
That's an awesome journey right there. And where was your favorite place you got stationed on the active side?
I think Aviano, Italy, because it gave me access to all of Europe. I actually got a chance to go look up my family tree there in Germany, and knock on a lot of doors, meet people, and it's just a hop, skip, and a jump if you want to see Europe. It's a great location, and it's a great place to be at. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone I've known who was stationed in Aviano didn't have a complaint about being in Aviano.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, you have to be really bad off to actually complain about the fact that you're living in Italy next to the Alps, and access to all of Europe, and you just drive on the weekend. For heaven's sakes, yeah.
You have access to all Europe. Is very easy to travel across with the transportation systems.
Yeah.
In Italy itself, you just stay in Italy. It's amazing just to see all the there and the beaches.
I miss the food every day. I miss the food there every day. Yeah.
And most of the food is actually farm to table there, so it's taken that day and cooked for you that day. So there's no processed. It's not many processed foods you see there in Europe either. So that's an amazing gift. We went last year to Italy, and I didn't want to leave, but of course you have to because time is constant. You got to get back to work and pay for that trip anyway. So you got to say goodbye at some point. And I read with the Angellics, they're actually working with a group of musicians from Germany. After working with them on other projects. How did you actually meet them? Was it during your time in Aviano or a different way?
Okay, like when you're an entrepreneur, you're always looking for ways to rebrand yourself and put yourself back out there, And I decided to redo my Amazon's audiobook with my good friend Andrew Giordani, who's a very talented voice actress. And so I decided, okay, we're going to make it sound like a movie. So we hired like 30 voice actors. We have all the sound effects ready, and we're still working on it. And I decided to incorporate a soundtrack. So I decided I need to go look for a band for this soundtrack. I myself can play guitar. I'm okay at it. I'm not that bad. I've been playing for about 6 years now. And so I started looking for like a vocalist, keyboardist, and a drummer. I initially then went to Upwork.com, and that's when I bumped into Leo Saylor. He is the lead vocalist of the Angellics, okay? And he knew Ellis Richter, who's a drummer. He brought him in, and Max Lang on keyboards. He brought him in, and we started making the songs for the soundtrack. And it was like we became good friends really quickly because we all thought alike. We all like loved the old '80s music, and we were always listening to it. And that's one of the things that we had actually discussed, almost like on the fourth section that we were doing for the soundtrack is, we should bring back the '80s music. And then we did about 10 songs, for by Sigma Squad and also for the Amazons. And that's what technically then when the contract ends at Upwork, and then we discussed, hey, should we keep going on? And we decided to then make the Angellics and start redoing '80s music as it should be. We wanted to give the experience of, imagine going into your basement or your attic and finding your old CD collection and finding one that you could never somehow missed, like you never heard it before. So Def Leppard, Motley Crue, Whitesnake, and all of a sudden, like, how did I miss this? And then you pop it into, and we wanted it to sound just like that. So if you listen to the album, it goes from real heavy, and then it goes lighter, 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 lighter. But we tried to get a whole range of the '80s on it, as best we could.
Without the hair, though.
Yes, without the hair. Yes, we for the most part, Leo's the only one with long hair.
Outstanding. You said Whitesnake. Whitesnake was actually the first concert I ever went to with Great White opening for them.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. Yeah, they were actually, Whitesnake and David Coverdale, their songs were actually some of my inspiration also for poetry. If you look at the lyrics, and actually read them, like, wait a minute, that's poetry. That was written the right way. And that's the way I approached every song in the album is I wrote it as a poem first. So then the lyrics flow, and then the music flows so much better with it. I don't want to talk poorly about other musicians because they work so hard, and they don't get enough credit for their work. But there's so many out there that will write the most beautiful melody, but then then they bring in their lyrics, and it's like they're trying to hammer them in or force them in, and it just doesn't quite work, And I it's difficult to say something to someone that's spent so much time and effort on, but there's a lot of musicians out there that do it, unfortunately.
No, they definitely do. There's some that are really talented. I mean, I live close to Nashville, so I see a lot of the struggling artists down there because they call it a 10-year town for a reason. It takes about that long to go from the unknown artist to someone that's actually making it, playing in every bar down there until someone says, oh, that's someone I like to hear and I want to sign them. So you see the struggle, and then you see the ones that aren't really putting in the effort, but they're kind of just riding along, and they're still getting some applause and such down on the streets, but they're not going to make it unless they start putting that extra ounce of effort.
Yeah. I mean, I feel sorry for them. That's a tough life. I just recently heard about the lead singer of the hair metal band Anvil. He was actually delivering it was delivering food for nursing homes for almost 40 years before he got discovered and signed. So I mean, it's a journey. If you really, for somebody to stick it out that long, that's amazing. Yeah.
That's resilience and grit to stay there for that long, doing another job while also trying to get your dream to come true. And that takes a lot of gumption to keep pushing forward and finally get seen, finally get noticed, and finally get that aha moment. All this work has come to fruition, and I am now doing the best I can in life. Got a couple questions from the audience right now. Try to get to them here. Here it goes. First one. This is from I can't even understand that, but they had to put a 6'5", so there must be another one in there as well. Can you explain the philosophy behind LLP, linked lyrical poetry? Thank you. Lots of letters, 65.
Well, okay. I got the idea from C.S. Lewis's in his book. He said poetry has to be understood by the people of it reading it of its day, basically. So when you bring someone from that 2025 and you put the Odyssey in front of them, they have no basis to understand it from. Even Shakespeare, like you need people usually to explain it to you. Okay, it's unfortunate, but that's just the way it is because we're language is changing and we're separating from that era. So I needed something brand new to bring it into this era. Lyrical poetry, people a lot of times say it closely resembles rap, and I felt that best to bring it to so under Gen Z, Gen Alpha can understand it because how many of the younger generation in that generation can memorize a rap song forward and backwards like it's nothing? They understand it, so they understand where I'm going with LLP, and they can understand the words, and it flows. It flows so much more beautifully. The real key is when you're writing LLP is between the periods. So try to bring the rhyming words as close to the periods as you can, and then continue on with the rhymes. But try to bring them as close to the periods as possible.
Do you have a sample of one you can share with the audience?
Let's see here. I'll just bring in the first paragraphs of the Amazons. How about that?
Awesome, that works.
We have all seen ladies gently take their beau's hand and understand their place in society. But why do they allow themselves to be tamed with their heart is being eaten away with desire? Perhaps they have an eternal fire to break away from what society requires. But mired, very far away, was a place where women ruled the land and men exclusively for breeding. Needing no other help from humans, their hidden institutions were excluded from modern times. Aligned on their own path, these Amazons are allowed to cast their own unique civilization, a nation created by women, fated by the gods of old, with bold spirit and inherent strength, tenfold from the standard human mold.
Wow, that's awesome. Thank you. And the other question from the audience, actually, you answered this already, but I'll put it up here anyway. It's about the Amazons. Nana of 5, what inspired you to create the Amazons and focus on the feminine hero's journey? Thank you, Nana of 5. So we've already that was talked about probably about 5-10 minutes ago. Peter explained the reason behind Amazons, the reason why it all started right after he was still active duty when he started this, and he was a staff sergeant with or E6, and moving forward in life and with his daughter, and wanted her to have a better version of heroes and heroines in life, and Amazons came about through that. So it's an awesome journey. You can go to his website and check it out as well. So where do you see, do you think LLP will catch on with this new generation and maybe they'll start writing in that same cadence to write their new books?
It takes a lot of focus and a lot of discipline to write an LLP. It's not uncommon to sit there for an hour and only have a paragraph because there's a lot of backtracking. There's a lot of looking up words and thinking of words that will work in that because you have to keep the flow going and the context. So you're almost focusing on 2 or 3 things at once. So it's not easy, but it comes with practice, but it's still not easy. Yeah. I have found, talked to other veterans that have tried it though, that are dealing with things like PTSD, because of the focus that it takes to write in this fashion, they're not thinking about the other things. It actually helps them to focus because they're not having trouble with PTSD. Yeah.
So it kind of gives them that clarity they need to function. So that's outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great tool for the Misfit Nation to take home right there. Start doing this to maybe clear your mind a little bit. So you have to focus on that one thing you're trying to accomplish the goal of writing with LLP. And I think that'll help a lot more than just the Misfit Nation. That's an outstanding tip. We do have another question just popped in. This is from Key Bellsfur. I think that's what this looks like. How did your near-death experience at age 7 influence your creative mission? Thank you, Key Bellsfur.
Well, okay, I guess we should fill your audience in on that. When I was about 7 years old, so this is the early 80s, of course, and well, let me, as a caveat, first say that my parents were good parents. Okay, it was normal to leave children unattended back then. Okay, latchkey kids were a very real thing. You know, coming home with having no parents there was normal.
Yes.
I was given some chores to do out the yard, and of course, you know, back then, if you didn't do your chores, you get whooped. Okay, so of course, I had to do them, and it was a very hot day, and I was worried, you know, if I didn't get done, I of course get whooped. So, um, at that age, you don't recognize the signs of heat stroke coming on, and I remember feeling very tired, you know. And what do you do at that age when you're tired? I just laid down and I went to sleep. And the next thing I remembered was waking up in what people refer to as their light bodies. So the best way I can describe it as if you think of yourself in a black and white picture and reverse the colors, so you're made out of all white, you're transparent, so you can see through yourself. And I looked down, I saw myself on the ground. So I like immediately, okay, what's going on? Am I dead? You know, I'm thinking, and then a tunnel appeared above me, and I really had no choice. I immediately started being pulled up into this tunnel, and it had a white light at the end of it. When I got to the end of the tunnel, there was an angel there to greet me. Okay. And it gave me a life review. Okay. But, you know, being seven, it went really quick. But at the same time, when it happened, time here is linear in this three-dimensional world, but it doesn't seem linear there. It almost seemed to happen in an instant, like instantaneously. It was odd. It's hard to explain. After the life review, then I was brought to what I was perceived to be the gates of heaven, because I could see on the other side of it. It's beautiful. But there was another angel there, and when I looked up at him, I recognized him. Like I had a feeling of deja vu, like I've met him before. I can't place it though. I mean, to this day, I don't know who he is.
Wow.
But he was very cross. He was upset, and he said, "Your job isn't done. You have to go back." And then the next thing I know, I woke up back in my body, paramedics hovering over me and trying to figure out what just happened. Okay, so it was very brief, but it was life changing, and um, that's the thing that pushes me to do all the things that I do, really, like the Angellics, the writing, the poetry, the graphic novels. Is that experience is to, I guess you should say, fulfill angelic mandates.
That's outstanding. And I like how you prefaced that this was normal in the 80s and early 70s and 80s for kids to be kids and be outside by themselves and do what you're told.
Drink out of the hose, you know, and just, you know, be outside all day.
Yes, that the hose didn't kill us. Sit in the back of cars with no seatbelts or ride bikes without helmets. We did all those things.
Oh, the sheer amount of times I kissed the windshield when my dad stopped short. Yeah.
Or the back seat, hit that back seat. So mostly a lot of bench seats back then. You hit them bench seats and you get thrown around, especially when you're little, when you didn't know to brace for it. And a lot of fun times, a fun experience for us. But now we wouldn't think at all of doing that to like our grandchild or for you, your child.
I know. Not in a million years.
Like, oh my God, you go to jail if you do this. Mom, where are you? But there's things that we learned that I think that made us a little stronger. I was talking to someone the other day about Gen X kids, and it didn't matter where we grew up as a Gen X kid. I grew up in New Jersey. You grew up in Wisconsin. There was no internet, no social media. There's no way for me to know what you were doing, but we did the same things.
Mm-hmm.
We had the same experiences,
I know.
And our parents gave us that same experience somehow, some way. It all happened. Now everyone lives via social media, and they can't miss something, or they flip out if they miss something that happened. We just went with life, and whatever it did to us that day, we found out about other people's journeys later, and it was just an awesome way to live, I thought.
Oh yeah, I mean, a lot of times we learned the hard way, like not what to do with firecrackers, explosives, and the BB gun, and
that BB does get embedded in skin. Wow, that does hurt a little.
Yes, yeah.
Life lessons. See, all these life lessons we learned along the way. And I think it made us who we are today. You spoke earlier about bodybuilding. And what made you get
Yeah.
into bodybuilding in the beginning?
Well, when I was 12 years old, I was what could be considered morbidly obese. So I'm only 5'3", so I'm pretty short. And at that height, I was 230 pounds. So I was quite big at that height. And I had a doctor tell me that if I don't do something about it, I'm not going to live past the age 40. So um, I started doing my homework, and a lot of it was, getting away from the magazines that are popular in the media, and then actually starting to look at scientific data in the library. So the books with the layer of dust that nobody touches on them. And the things I learned was like the food pyramid should be actually upside down, and it's wrong. It's a shame that they try to teach us that. I mean, they're coming out now. RFK Jr. is finally coming out now saying that it is wrong. But I had to learn it, back then, and then I started eating right, take off the weight, and then um, I started walking the gym about the age of 16, but it was, we were legally able to at the time, and I fell in love with bodybuilding because it filled me in a creative way to shape and mold the body as if it were a piece of clay. But it's not instantaneous gratification. It takes months and years to get results. So I just loved it. I fell in love with it. And I do it every day. Yeah. I mean, just last year I didn't miss a single day at the gym.
Wow. That's outstanding. Do you compete in bodybuilding competition still, or no?
Not anymore. When I was younger, I did. I enjoyed it. It taught me discipline, at an early age, and I really it paid off, especially in the military, having discipline.
Yeah. It definitely pays off already having discipline when you come in. Like you said earlier, you're already in shape when you got to basic with the Air Force, which with the
Yeah.
Air Force, still someone's making your bed for you and stuff like that when you go to basic, but it's awesome that you were able to not struggle, because I'm sure you've seen some of your brothers and sisters that came into boot with you that had a hell of a time.
I will never forget a recruit that they just grabbed him by the nape of his neck, shoved him into my face, and said, "If he doesn't pass the PT test, you don't pass."
Oh,
So
wow.
that I had to take him out an hour early before everyone else got up for 2 weeks straight to get him. The thing is, he was a very bright kid, very smart. So he passed the ASVAB probably with, got 100% probably, if I had to guess. Very smart, but he didn't understand the concept of how to build muscle. And as soon as it started to hurt, he stopped. And I had to explain to him that it's supposed to hurt. The lactic acid is building up, and it's supposed to hurt. And you have to keep pushing. And it was difficult to get that through his head. But eventually I did and got him to pass. But yeah, that wasn't the fun part of boot camp, unfortunately. No, but it made me a better person because he actually still texts me to this day on occasion. I hear from him and he's doing great. Yeah,
I was just about to ask you, do you still stay in touch with him? Do you still know a lot of
he made E9. He made E9, so he's doing great. Yes.
Did he go into the same career field as you in the Air Force, or did he go a different path?
No. I believe it was something to do with cyber. I forget off the top of my head, but it was it takes a very high ASVAB score just to get into it.
And he had that. You gave him the extra push he needed to be awesome.
Yes.
Total package. I like that the instructor made you do the work for him instead of them doing the work.
I know. I like, wait a minute. That's the first thing I thought of. Like, wait a minute. Isn't this your job? How is this my job now? But apparently he had been through 2 other instructors and they couldn't get him to pass. So,
wow.
Yeah.
So he really worked the system until he got to you. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Too bad you didn't get promoted for that.
That'd be fine. I don't need a promotion just because of that. I'll help out my fellow man for free anytime.
Right. Another question from the audience. This is from Greg and Lisa. Very easy one this time. What message do you hope listeners take from the Sigma Squad, and the Angellics? Thank you, Greg and Lisa.
Well, the Sigma Squad still in work. We've had a lot of setbacks, unfortunately. Like the artists that I'm contracting, their entire office flooded.
Oh wow.
So we're dealing with that right now. But what I want from the Sigma Squad, it's going to be in a graphic novel form because it's easier for Joe Sixpack to understand that. You know, if you walk to the bookstore and you see the mega section, you know, it's huge. It usually takes a good majority of the real estate in the bookstore. And I found that if I could portray it in that fashion, what's going on behind the scenes in this world right now, in that fashion, in that format, that it'll be easier to understand, but also bring in the hero's journey. And decided to incorporate the Gnostic Gospels because there's a very important, I think, message in there that I really took from reading them is that there's different levels of humanity that they talk about in the Gnostic Gospels. There's three levels of humanity. And when you think about it, how many times have you heard about someone do something and the first thing that entered into your mind is, how could a human do this?
Right.
You know what I mean? You know, and you don't understand how a human can do this, you know, and it also brings into the play the whole NPC, you know, theory of where there are people out there that just exist to interact with us, and then that's it. They don't actually. They are technically human. They are technically human, and the Gnostics touched on that, where there are people they call Hylics that are at the lowest level of consciousness, and their entire existence is to tempt you, interact with you, and try to get you come to the other side. And it's quite interesting when I portray it in that way. I'm going to portray it in that way. It makes people realize that, oh, wait a minute, do I want to react that way? You know, if you look at it as over the map of consciousness. Okay, I don't know if I'm getting too far over your listeners' heads, but Dr. Hawkins talks about it a lot, and I don't know if you ever read Power versus Force, but the map of consciousness is basically a scale of like 0 to 1,000 of where you're at in your consciousness level on this earth, and most people today are about 200 or less. So that person that you know drove in front of you and almost hit you on the way into work today, you know, it didn't just cut you off and didn't even act like you were there. They're probably there at 200. You know, that you know it's. But then you also got to understand that, do you react in the same? Do you react at that lower level thinking? You know, you have to understand that people talk in different languages that are at different levels. Like if someone were to get in a fight with you, as you know, and you're at a lower level, of course, you want revenge. You want to fight back. Your immediate thought is to hit them back. But if someone's at a higher level of consciousness, on the map of consciousness, they would turn the other cheek, walk away, and bless them. Okay, and that person down at the lower level would look at that other person as if they're weak, and the person at the top would have pity on the other person. So there's two languages being spoken in this world, and you have to realize where you're at. And there's steps you could do to the simple steps you could do to change the way you think and act. Let's basically go back to something we all do is go to the grocery store. Do you put the shopping cart back every time?
Yep.
Okay, you do. So then you would be maybe at the mid-level of consciousness, and then the person that would be at the lower level of consciousness would leave it there and wouldn't care about anybody else, would have no one else in thought. But then if you want to take the extra step and go even higher, would you take it back to the store and put it where it belongs? Because now, not only thinking about the society as a whole, but you're thinking about that one person that has to put them away.
Yep. The whole train guy. Yeah.
It's small. It's the small acts like that make a difference every day. Yeah.
Yeah, I put mine back into the receptacle or back into the store if I could, if I'm close enough to it where I park. Almost every time, and it's in one of those two. Yeah, the other day I pulled up in one of those little to go faster carts are outside, and it was parked right in a spot. So first I was like, "Wow, what kind of person does this?"
Yeah, exactly. And you're thinking, what? That's a lower level consciousness person. Look, just bring up the map of consciousness on Google, and when you look at it, like, oh, okay, now I understand it. It's and you have to understand not only where you're at, but where the people you're reacting with are at, and then don't act accordingly necessarily. Yeah.
Right. I can see like one of the wheel ones, but when you put the go faster in there, all you gotta do is turn the knob, and you could have went a little further and made it, but you didn't, and it has to sit right in a spot. Now someone has to go the extra step to help you out because you didn't want to do it.
85% of the people out there are at 200 or low in the map of consciousness, so they're at that lower level. So they're just reacting or acting where they're at.
Right.
Unfortunately.
And there's something we talk about a lot here also is meeting people where they're at. So sometimes you got to get down there and meet them where they are and try to bring them up a little bit, try to make them focus a little differently to make better decisions in life and be more successful in their life journey. And that's a hard task for a lot of people to do.
Well, in the military, they also had, shall we say, smoke pit conversations.
Yes.
When it had to be done right away. Yes. Yeah.
a lot of good discussions out there as well. Yes.
Yes.
We got one final question from the audience we'll take here. Sorry, everyone else. This is from Turn It Up. How has your military background shaped your approach to creativity and discipline? Thank you, Turn It Up.
Well, if you read the Amazons, there's bits and pieces from the people I served with in those characters. So there's a person that always shows up drunk, that tends to like the bottle a little too much. There's a person that shows up and you question their value. Like, who is this person? Why is he here? And they don't show their value to in the team, okay, until later in the story. Then you realize, oh yeah, he's a valuable member of the team. I understand now, but you didn't at first, And that's how I bring my military experiences. I incorporate the team into it. Yeah, and of course, I want to inspire all the females that I serve with over the years, to not only read this, but you have their daughters read it, inspire them as well. I will never forget. There was one night that it was particularly rainy, storming out, thunderstorm really bad, and there was a young female maintainer that was bringing in a toolbox into the squadron, and her face was soaked, and her face was covered in grease, and she looked up at me, and you could tell she was pissed, and she was working her ass off, and she said to me point blank, I would have to work 3 times as hard to get the same amount of credit with the guys. That just hit home, like, wow, that hurts. Like, wow. And it's true, unfortunately. It's true, unfortunately. It's one of those things you're not going to run into enlightened men in the military, unfortunately.
Not at all. And even with the way things have changed over the last decade, if you look at that, having females being able to join any career field they actually wanted to when they were growing up. If they wanted to be infantry, they can go infantry. They wanted to be an engineer, be an engineer. Artillery, do whatever you wanted to do. They still had to get accepted in those roles. Yes, they were giant going up. They were allowed to go to basic infantry training, but they still had to go to a unit, and that unit was the good old boy system by the time they got there, especially for the first ones that went in there. So now, they don't know how they're going to be perceived. They have to put that extra effort to show that they are just one of the dudes, one of the guys. They're going to shoot just as well as they can. They're going to carry their weight. They're going to do their jobs, but they have to prove it every single day. Whereas the guys can be that guy that's drunk every day at work. That's the E4 mafia that comes in and shams all day, and one of them works while the others hide. There's going to be those guys while she's still performing at her best level, and it's a shame.
When we discussed doing the album with the other guys, and they're all, Leo, Max, and Ellis are all professionals, musicians, and they were iffy about me a little bit. They weren't sure how to take me because I could play guitar. They saw what I could do with it because we did 10 other songs together. But they decided to actually haze me. I'm like, oh, really? You realize how many times I've been hazed in the military and you want to play this game? Okay. Okay. Yeah, we'll go there. We're going there, and that's why we decided to. Now, the album was originally going to be called Divination after the last song, but that's why we decided to change the name to Hazing Hades because there was some hazing going on in the making of the song Heartbreak Hit.
Oh,
They had given me, every '80s band has a heartbreak song, correct?
oh yeah.
So we had to come up with one, and they had given me the word. Now you might want to bleep this out. Uh, well, you can I tell you what? Listen to because this is live. I won't say the word. Just listen to the song "Heartbreak Hit," and you'll understand what word it is. Okay,
Okay.
they gave me that word, and they said we need you to make it into a heartbreak song. I'm like, okay, yeah, we'll play this game. And a lot of guys are like, well, I can't do this, but I think I know I made it work really well, and they were really surprised. So that's why they were all on board for making the rest of the record with me because they saw what I was able to do with that song. Yeah. But it's funny. It's funny. And we actually got bleeped on TikTok. We got banned for a while from TikTok from that song because of it. I'm like, I don't see it as a swear word, but apparently people do. So it is what it is.
I got banned on YouTube for I live streamed a veteran's funeral and they sung Amazing Grace. So I got banned on YouTube for a little while because at a funeral someone sang Amazing Grace. So
Oh
I
my
understand.
gosh.
Really. And that's just the world we live in these days. But as we we just went through 50 minutes. I want to ask, when do you think the album will be finished and put out?
Well, the Hazing Hades is done right now. It was put out on August 17th. So that's out right now. It's on all the platforms. The single The Martyr, that should be out this week, hopefully, knock on wood. And then we have another album that we're working on right now that will be out next year called Elysium Fields. And that will be more of a kind of gentler, more 80s love music style.
Some ballads in there and stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
Nice. We look forward to that. I'm putting your website into the comments right now so people can see that in there. I'll put it across the bottom of the screen as well so they can see your website come across. Is that the best way for the audience to get in contact with you if they want to learn more about your projects or maybe pick your brain about LLPs or anything else?
I am going to be starting here, hopefully, LLP classes. That's just locally. So if I have enough interest, we might be able to do a little bit more, go out of state with it. And
Okay.
if they want to look up the album, yeah, they can just type in Hazing Hades, the album title Hazing Hades, into their preferred music browser. It should show up.
Awesome. And the last question I have for you tonight, Peter, this is one I ask every guest as we're about to sign off. What's 3 things the Misfit Nation can start doing tomorrow to be better people?
Don't waste time. So if you look at it, everyone that works a 9-to-5 job, you get an hour lunch for the most part. That's OSHA regulations. Are you utilizing that hour to your utmost? Could you spend 30 minutes of that hour copying up the novel that you've always wanted to write? Yeah. Could you spend the 30 minutes of that hour listening to the podcast that's going to educate you for your next step in life? Think about that. Yeah, it's people waste too much time, and I'm guilty of it too. But I live a very disciplined life. If you looked at me from the outside, you're like, this guy's crazy. But I hit the bed running. Also, bear in mind, though, I have an angelic mandate that I have to live up to. So.
Right. So what would be your number 2?
I would say there's that old joke, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And people tend to look at the elephant and they don't realize all they need to do is take one bite. So write a paragraph. Listen, like I said before, write just one paragraph. Listen to a half an hour of the podcast. Take 12 bites out of that large task. Don't look at it as an entire elephant. Just take a bite daily, and eventually you get there. Yeah.
Exactly. I love that's a great one right there. Peter, this has been an awesome conversation for the last 50-something minutes. Thank you for joining us, and I'm glad we were able to get this knocked out tonight and didn't have to put it off. So this is awesome. As Misfit Nation will start going on the road again tomorrow for another week. But tonight is awesome to have you here, and thank you for sharing your journey with us.
Oh, thanks for having me, Rich. It was great. It was a pleasure.
Awesome. I look forward to getting Martyr this week and sharing with the rest of my network as well, to let them download that and support you and support Charlie Kirk along the way. Thank you again for everything tonight.
Thanks. It was great. Take care.
Misfit Nation, remember, a day with you tomorrow is 100% better than one without you. The sun rises, you in it. It's amazing. Let's have you there. If you're having troubles tonight or any day, dial 988. Take option 1 if you're a veteran. If not, follow the prompts and get the help you need. If you don't want to do that, contact us here at the Misfit Nation. info@themisfitnation.com, Steven@themisfitnation.com, or Jake@themisfitnation.com. And we will take care of you. We will keep you on the line until we can get someone that can actually help you in the right way. We are not mental health professionals, but we are humans. We can listen to you and get you in the right way. Until next time, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling.
Thanks for checking us out and being a part of the Misfit Nation show. Don't forget to visit our website at themisfitnation.com. That's themisfitnation.com. Check out all our past episodes and get some of the great Misfit Nation gear for you and your family. As always, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling, because we are
Misfit Nation. Misfit Nation.